Good evening, everyone. So this is going to be a recording video as opposed to my normal live. I've been a bit busy recently, but there was a really good game in the final round. So fifth round of 5 of the Swiss in Scott Bryant's Vassal League. And there's a couple of people that have been asking for some Swarm games, showing just general play against the Swarm, asking about how my Fangs deal with the Swarm. I think it's a really fun matchup, and Bruno was kind enough to say, absolutely sure, let's put it up online. So this is going to be an after the fact, it isn't live. We play the game, I recorded the log, and I'm just going to talk through some of my thinking and my moves as I'm going through the game, to give you guys a bit of an idea about maybe how to approach a Swarm matchup in general, and also how to do it with Fangs, but more looking at the Swarm's formation, what was good, what could have been better, and just critiquing both sides. So it's a bit of a fun one, so we'll see how we go. We've started off with the rocks already deployed here. If you have a look, then we see this one up here, this one down here, and this one up here were deployed by me. These 3 were my rocks. I brought the large asteroids because I like making my opponent fly around them. You're going to see how that comes in handy later. Bruno brought these 3 asteroids, and Bruno has the initiative bid here. He has a 2-point bid on his list. Mine's running on 200, and his let's just quickly break down the lists. If I bring up the list so that you can see them, well, you can see them on the side here. You have a full-on TIE Swarm, so Howrunner. Obviously you should run Howrunner if you're running an Imperial Swarm. Same thing with Iden. You should always run Iden if you're running an Imperial Swarm, in my opinion. Once you've got those 2 essentials out of the way, you've got a bit more choice involved. There's Swarm Tactics on Howrunner to make sure that we shoot at Initiative 5. That's particularly important when paired with Wampa, because Wampa can trigger before any of the Fangs apart from Fen can shoot him. So if you get Wampa into the endgame with Swarm Tactics still around, then Wampa is a menace shooting at Fangs. Important point is that the Academy Pilot and Wampa are both Initiative 1, so whilst you have a relatively high initiative engagement, 4s and 5s with the 1 Academy Pilot going last, you still have your front line, your blockers, to prevent yourself from losing all your actions and your focus tokens, getting yourself blocked up. Really useful for a Swarm player. On top of that, you have Sane for the anti-ace play. Sane's ability is the old Wampa from 1.0, so if you have a crit result, you can cancel that crit result and the rest of your dice to just give a damage card to your opponent. Really useful against stuff like A-Wings. If you crit them twice, they die because they've got 2 damage cards. Used to be very good against Regen Corrin, just give him 3 damage cards. Now it's only really good in the bullseye with marksmanship. You can see he's got it paired up there. And then we also have Gideon with marksmanship. Personally, I would have given Gideon Crackshot. I think that while crits are nice, Crackshot on Gideon is really useful. For those of you that don't know what his ability is, he has an extra dice whenever your opponent has a damage card. So the idea is that Howrunner makes Wampa 5, Wampa and Howrunner shoot first, then Iden, then Sane, and then Gideon will hopefully get his extra shot because one of them has put a damage card on the opponent. Sane can even do that underneath the shields if you're having a really bad day. So it's a lot of forward-loaded firepower. My Fangs, well, you've got Fen and 4 and 3 recruits. They are very good at what they do, which is getting into range 1, not taking damage, and putting out more than they get. So looking at the different lists here, both of us kind of want to joust. I'm going to talk through the different situations that you might want to use. Going on to asteroid placement, I have not got the initiative because, I mean, if I had the initiative then I would be able to block Bruno's entire swarm, so he made the sensible decision. He took the initiative so that his 1s can get in the way, and he placed the first asteroid, which was, I believe, that it was this one over here. So he took the large rock and placed it over there, allowing him to turn the corner, at which point I immediately grabbed this one and put it over there, and he took one of the gas clouds and placed it in the middle here to try and set himself up some nice channels. Not sure if that was a good idea or not. I then took the third asteroid and placed it on the side here, so we have a vertical placement of these, which allows the fangs to split up the swarm a bit more easily. It's a lot harder for the swarm to turn in at the side around here or around here if you have these two rocks there. If you are looking at the Minoc recent Minoc posts talking about whether or not you're the jouster, or they said the beatdown, or whether you're the counter or the control player. If you're playing the beatdown list, if you want to joust, you want to get rid of these asteroids. You don't want them there, because that will make it harder for you to joust, because you need to be able to turn in and set up a straight joust against your opponent. The next asteroid, I believe, was placed by Bruno there, and this one then went down here, thinking that if Bruno decides to deploy on this side and comes around the outside, that will make it difficult for him to turn around and allow me to fly around. Bruno popped his two TIE fighters over there, at which point I decided I didn't want to straight up joust the TIE swarm. I would set up over here, because he can block me and not the other way around. I would go for opposite corners and try and split him up, drag him through the asteroids. If I had been given the initiative, I would be very tempted to set up opposite the TIEs and just try and make a mess of their formation. If I have my focus tokens with the 3 initiative 1 fangs, I'm probably going to win that engagement. So again, good decision by Bruno to have the initiative. So let's get rolling from there. We've got the initial stuff set up. So last thing to go down is Fen. Bruno's formation is entirely done. So I set Fen up over there. Obviously you can see the chat going on the bottom left hand side. The dice will pop up as they go. And yeah, we'll go from there. We'll get some dials set. So I'm fairly happy with this set of asteroids. You can see here that my dials are set to stall a little bit, just to waste some time to set them up. So my fangs, the 2 TIE fighters go straight down the field. My fangs waste a bit of time, do the hard one, and just seeing where the TIE swarm goes. I wasn't sure whether or not Bruno would go forwards or turn to the left. I've left myself lots of options. As it is, he forms his nice little block, brings in the TIEs. He's obviously practiced his formation. I stall Fen, put him in a little bit of an angle, and we go back to dials. So after this, I'm not sure where he's going to go. He's left himself a good option for a hard one. He's also trying to force me to commit to an area before he goes for it. So this is where we turn into a little game of cat and mouse, and I decide that it's time to split my fangs, because thinking about this, I'm not sure where he's going to go. Just before he did the hard one there, I had no idea. So I want to get him to commit to one of my fangs, and the others can get around the flank. So Bruno, seeing this, decides to turn his TIEs in again, gain himself a bit more time. One of my fangs goes there, the other one goes there, this one goes here. Bruno is starting to get less of an idea where I'm going to go next turn, because they're not together. So Bruno rolls his TIEs. Nice little double 3 formation. You can tell that Bruno's had quite a bit of practice flying a TIE swarm. He's very, very good at keeping them in formation and reforming the formation afterwards. I was very, very impressed by that. Fen decides to saunter off this way. He could have boosted, but stays there. Again, I have many, many different angles now with my fangs. I'm providing lots of different opportunities so that Bruno has really no idea where I'm going to go. Bruno has 2 options right now. He can go fast forwards, or he can turn into the right. I wasn't sure which one he was going to do. The forwards move seemed more likely, because if he turns right, he starts to get himself funneled into the asteroids, and that is probably the wrong decision to make. So there we go. Bruno puts his dials on the table. I'm thinking a bit harder about this turn, because of the fact that I'm not really sure how I want to split it up. So you can see I've put in a lot of non-committal moves for my fangs. I can barrel roll afterwards if I want to. I can boost afterwards if I want to. And just generally trying to be careful and not let them get caught out. You've got to be thinking a few times ahead. If my red fang, this guy at the top here, had decided to do a 2 forwards, and Bruno had done a 5 forwards, by the time I could escape, he'd be able to get a lot of good shots on my Fang, so I have to do a hard one here, and then barrel roll away. For those of you that are playing against an AC list, say for example Resistance 5s or Triple T70s or Imperial Aces with Suntir, think about those times when your opponent, if he does do a move that he thinks is non-committal, you could catch him out. So a 5 forward here from the ties is actually a really good call, just in case that Fang had decided to get a bit greedy. You can catch him out in the corner, and as long as you're not giving up too much in terms of a flank, it's okay for you. So these two TIE fighters, they do decide to go forwards, and Bruno rolls one, doesn't roll the other. I hard one and then boost my blue Fang down there. My other Fang does the hard one and the barrel roll, and another hard one and barrel roll. Again, I've left lots of options for next turn. All of the TIE fighters, they come in here, the formation starts to reform. You can see the box is back, and the ties are all nice and close together, apart from Wampa using that Harrow and a buff. Finally, Fen comes around, and I do decide to boost him this time. I can see a nice tasty flank extending for Fen. If Bruno decides to be a bit more non-committal and slow, then maybe Fen will be able to sneak around the back. You can see him saying that in the chat. Bruno is very much aware of the situation. He is trying to set up a good engagement on me without getting flanked and shot in the butt, which is tricky when you're flying a formation. Yep, I don't really want to joust him. If he gets a block on one of my Fangs, it is a very, very dead Fang if it's right in front of a TIE swarm. So, going back through, what we see here is, once again, Bruno being relatively non-committal and careful. He wants me to come and play in the open space. I don't want to do that. I want him to go through the asteroids. So, once again, Fang does a hard one and a barrel roll, just being very, very careful not to get too close. Hoping to drag him, either turn in on these guys, so that's why these guys come up here. He just stays there, and Bruno is just decided, you know what, you've got to come to me here. So, at which point Fen says, thank you very much, I will 5 forwards and boost around the corner, and really start to get the flank on. So you can see here I'm threatening from 4 different angles. No matter where Bruno turns, he's going to have a Fang in the back. My problem now is that Bruno is going to turn in on one of my Fangs at some point. So where is he going to turn, and which one is going to get picked on? Because if I put him in the wrong position, I can very easily get a Fang picked off at range 2 or 3 while not doing enough damage back, and then I can lose the game because I'm immediately down on Fangs. So I have to ensure that all of my ships hit at exactly the same time, which is a really good tip for all of you ace players out there. If you are playing, say for example, the Suntir Whisper Vader, it can be really easy to get away, but you have to punch some damage through, so you need to make sure that all of your ships are shooting the same opposing ship, and they all commit on the same turn. If you can manage that, you'll start to win a lot more of your games, and your opponent's ships will just die quickly before they can kill you, especially if you have the initiative advantage here. So, I'm curious, what would you guys do at this point? I mean, if you think, right, you can see my options for the Fangs. There is a very clear 5 forward boost from the blue one. There is a very clear 3 bank and boost from Fen. Red can come around the corner. I can fully commit this turn if I'd like to. Probably either a hard 3 and barrel roll, or a 3 bank and a boost from purple. So that's what I would do if I was going fully aggressive. The other option is I try and stall out for another turn. Hopefully wait for Bruno to commit, escape with one of my Fangs that might be turned in on, and see if I can get in the rear end of his ties, which would be ideal. And you can see that I've gone for that. I've gone a little bit shorter than I normally would. If Bruno does a hard one around the corner, then Fen can get away and get around the flank. This guy can do a 3 bank and a boost if he turns in on him. This guy doesn't want to come up too fast, because otherwise he would get shot at range 3 by all of these guys. And again with red, if Bruno decides to commit hard with a 3 bank or a 5 forwards, if I've gone up here, he is just dead, and these guys will not be able to catch up in time. So I can't risk doing that. I have to be extremely careful. So, as you can see, Bruno went for the 5 forwards. I accidentally moved the rock and didn't judge my boost correctly. Now that was a really large error from me, doesn't seem it, but it means that I have to delay my engagement for yet another turn. I can't get blue into the rear of his ties. If I'd have boosted straight, what that would have done is it would have allowed my blue fang to do a hard 3 around the rock next turn and then boost and get right in the place that he needs to be, shooting at the back of the tie swarm at range 3. As it is, I can't do my action, so I have to go very non-committal. This guy barrel rolls out and delays. This guy stays where he is. No, sorry, there we go. This guy rolls up that way, basically providing multiple options for next turn. I can turn away, I can go forwards. Bruno, again, moves all of his ships forwards and just goes, okay, you know what, I think I can either just wait and get a good engagement. He didn't think I was going to come in hard enough that turn and just takes a vase just in case. He's correct. Fen goes fairly non-committal. And we come around here. So, back to planning. It seems fairly obvious that Bruno only has 2 positions. He can do a 3k or he can turn it to the corner. I need to decide what to do. Blue isn't in a good position to turn in, so really I have to either just accept the fact he's not going to shoot this turn and commit with everything, or stall. And as red is in his present position, he can't turn in, so it seems sensible to take another turn of just trying to get Bruno to commit to something, some form of position. So, moving on from there, maybe not the moves you would have expected from the Fangs. The talon roll with red was risky, but I think worth it. I want to keep 4 points of threat at all times from these Fangs. There should be always 3 or 4 locations that Bruno is attempting to shoot at all times. So green, blue comes in, threatening the flank. The talon roll comes in from that guy. This one comes up here. And you can see the TIE fighters tap back into their formation. So, and Fen comes around there. So that was a big mistake from me. I should have straight boosted, it would have given me a much better angle, instead of Fen being very obvious for next turn and being right in the way of blue. So, positional mistake there. Because he was at an angle from the start, it's something that I judge a lot better on the table. And now we have some imminent combat. So, a lot of my friends and opponents shout at me for running away for essentially half an hour, which is what I've done here. The reason that I've done that, hopefully you can see, is that I now have this set up where all of my Fangs are going to be coming in from a different angle. Bruno has to commit to one of them. If he gets it wrong, he ends up in no man's land and the Fang can dodge it. Because I can see, based on where these two have gone, exactly where his entire swarm is going to end up unless he decides to split it. He hasn't at this point, so I'm fairly certain that the rest of the ties, wanting to stay in Howe Runner range, are just going to follow. If I get it right, I can completely dodge 4 or so arcs with all of my Fangs, putting Bruno in a really bad position. Even if I don't get it right, and I get one of my Fangs stranded in front of his, he then has to deal with another 3 of my Fangs that are now in the flanks of his formation. It doesn't matter who he turns in on here, he's not got the best situation from any of them. So that's my reason for flying around for half an hour, is if it can get me a better engagement, it's completely worth it, because you never want to let the dice decide things. You always want to have a better position than your opponent and make sure that you're rolling more dice that are more modified, and that will win you the game, because if you keep on doing that, there's only a certain amount of dice luck that can go against you, if that is the case. So, ties have made their decision. I have to be quite careful here. Red is not quite okay to do a hard 2. If there's a 5 forward and a roll, that can get blocked. Purple again can't do a 5 forwards because a 3 bank and a roll would do that. So I'm thinking with purple here, I can either complete disengage, seems like a bad idea, or I can just go forwards. I decided to go with the 3 forwards, I think. With red, I went with the 2 bank, because if he turns in complete, I can barrel roll, dodge some of the arcs. Alternatively, I can boost into the side of the formation, maybe get range 1. Green here, hard 3. or the hard 1 and boost, 2 options. If I do the hard 3, I can barrel roll up here, get some more angles. If I do the hard 1 and boost, it does leave me stressed, but that's fine because I can't really block these guys. Fen was a problem. So the issue I have with Fen is because he's not on a straight angle. I can't do a 5 forwards and just dive into range 1. If I do a 3 bank and my opponent does Bruno does a hard 1, I am ending up at range 2 or range 3 of everything. Not a good move. So I decided to do something a bit risky. I decided to play for the block. For the bait with Fen. Fen does a 4 forwards. If Bruno commits to this TIE fighter, a 4 forwards and a boost will put me in the flank. If he turns in, then Fen can barrel roll behind this debris cloud. And because it's the gas cloud, he gets a free evade on every single roll plus an extra evade dice. So that turns Fen into an absolute tank. Hopefully, Bruno will waste his 2 dice shots at long range on a Fang fighter that he is almost certainly not going to get any damage on, because it's Fen. Everyone has tunnel vision for Fen, and that means that my Initiative 1 Fangs can get in with their focus tokens relatively unscathed, and then start blocking up the formation. It might work, it might not, but I think it's worth the risk of taking a lot of damage on Fen, especially since I've put him in a bad position now. So we can see hard 1 turns. He spots the fact that he can catch Fen, and I don't blame him for going for it. I think that was the correct decision. He set himself up quite a good engagement. He wants to stay fairly far away from me. Range 1 is better for me than it is for him. So he wants a lot of range 2 shots. Purple gets it wrong. I thought I was going to be able to barrel roll. Really, I should have done a 2 forward and allowed the curve boost around the corner. But that's okay. He's not in the worst of positions. He is going to get some range 1 defense. Do the hard 3 and the focus from blue. The reason I didn't boost blue is because, again, if I boost, I end up in range 2 of the entire swarm. Want to stay at range 3, not get in range of all of them, and hopefully provide some distraction for purple there, so he doesn't get shot that much. Entire swarm, all does a hard 1, stays in range of Howl Runner. At this point, I'm hoping that only 4 of them can shoot at pink, which means that we'll be splitting fire. And then Fen rolls in, does the barrel roll behind the asteroid, and plays distraction. He's at range 2 of the front 3 of them, but they're all through the debris cloud because he's at an angle. So this was one of the reasons why I put Fen at an angle when he initially came in. You can just do that with a hard 1 on the first turn. Because this means he ends up at odd angles and you get some useful obstructed shots. If he was at 45 degrees, he wouldn't have been able to get into that position in the first place, and therefore I wouldn't have had the rock. So there we go. Alright, let's get on with some combat. So Fen turtles up and shoots first. At this point I have a brilliant opportunity to make sure Wampa doesn't get bonus shots. So Howl Runner Swarm Tactics Wampa. Fen shoots Wampa to make sure he doesn't get the charge. Does 2. Probably not going to do anything, and I wasn't going to spend my focus anyway because I need it for defense. Wampa says, "Thank you very much, I'll take the free evade from the gas cloud." This is why you do not use gas clouds with TIE swarms. Just pro tip, because they work much worse against you than they do with you. Over here we've only got 2 shots, no point shooting Fen, so he shoots at Teal, and Teal actually has to spend his focus because he only rolls 2 eyeballs. Now we start to go into purple, so purple gets lucky, 2 natural evades. This guy can actually shoot purple as well, didn't expect it. Just the 1, hit crit, Howl Runner working well, again, 2 natural evades, not bad. This guy, 2 hits, 2 natural evades. At this point purple has got quite lucky. He probably should have taken 1 or 2 damage at this point, with the spending of the focus. But sometimes you get that hit crit, spends the focus on that one, and finally range 1 into a single point of damage. So taking 1 damage from 5 TIE fighters, lucky, but not unusual for a Fang. There is dice variance. I mean, he could have just exploded. Yeah, it's it's one of those that could have swung either way. I don't like putting my fangs in that kind of position, because if you do get unlucky, it will just die. I think it was worth it for the engagement that I got, but it would have been much better to just risk the 4 forwards, and if I get bumped, I get bumped, because I'm at range 1 of most of the swarm. Regardless, fangs shoot back. This guy does 1, doesn't do anything because reasons. Managed to get the range 1 on the guy at the back. However, I've spotted the fact that one of the ties has spent the focus. Absolutely the correct decision to shoot the one without modification, so I'll take the range 2 shot on the one with no mods. As it is, gets the 3 crits because of reasons, and Iden gets spent to prevent that, and to prevent the tie exploding. This guy comes in, gets 2 hits, and takes a single one into Sane. So, reasonably lucky there to get Iden and a damage, but hey, it's not too far outside the realms of possibility, even though it is a bit lucky. Right, now we get interesting. We have to work out how to block the ties. So, just making sure we have the right turn. It is now turn 8 of the game, and we've only had 1 round of shooting. Welcome to most of my games. However, now everything happens at once. The 2 initiative ones over here, they will go first. Then this fang will go. What I'll do is I'll just update the damage quickly for you, so that you can see that. Sane has taken a single point of damage. Purple, which is fang number 2, has taken a single point of damage. And we have used Iden's charge, but you can't really show that on Iden, so that's fine. We'll just leave that as it is. Okay, so moving onwards. The 2 initiative ones, Wampa and the AP, are going to have to move somewhere. As they're having to move somewhere, I have the frustrating issue of trying to get my fangs into a place that they're not going to get blocked. Red is in a pretty good place, but if they do the hard one and turn in on red, unlikely, but could happen. Or one of them could just go down and block him. AP could absolutely just barrel roll. Then he just sits there with not many good shots. Purple is the most likely to get blocked, especially as he's taking a damage. And, well, I think it's Teal's job to do the blocking, because those ones aren't anywhere near him. So, yeah, with the moves that I've got planned in, I was thinking that if my opponent decides to do anything other than a 2 bank, that should clear. It may even clear the 2 bank from purple. If not, he sits at the front of the swarm, just gets in the way. That's fine. With Teal, 2 forwards. Didn't want to go in too hot. My thinking here is that I should end up at range 1 and get shots. If my opponent has committed upwards, then he can boost, because I can tell where his swarm's going with the initiative ones. They should give me some indication. Fen, and this is a really good move for you guys to make if you're flying an ace and some low initiative ships, has deliberately landed exactly where purple is going, has the spot that he's left, because the one place that you can guarantee will not get blocked for Fen is the place that your ship has just got out of the way of. So I've made sure that Teal's gone fast enough that he should move out of the way and not block Fen. So as long as you can do that, then it's the safest place for your ace to be, is where one of your own ships has just left. Or one of your enemy ships has just left, if you're fairly sure that nothing else is going to take his place. So, moving forwards, let's see what these 2 TIE fighters have done. They've got many options. Coming in downwards or upwards to block things, or just trying to get good shots. I did consider whether or not he K-turned the entire thing. Could have been an option, just take the gas cloud. But I thought with the moves that I planned in, should be enough to take advantage of that if it did happen. So, importantly, red's gone 2 forwards to counteract the fact that he may have turned in. As we can see, 2 bank, which is fine. Depends where AP ends up. It's kind of telegraphing the swarm move that most of them are going to go that way. So we have a look at where Teal's going to go in a second. So red comes in that way. I've pretty much accepted the fact that purple's going to get blocked at this point, so move red first just to make sure that he can barrel roll in. Purple just crashes, that's fine, and I just get the focus token out of the way. He's in a good position. If most of the swarm turns upwards, then he just gets a free shot into the side. He's not getting shot. That's okay. Teal now has a big decision to make. So I can do two things here. I can boost into those two TIE fighters. If I do that, then I'm going to get some good shots into the academies, and I may be able to catch some of his other TIEs. However, look at where he's placed those two academies. Most people don't plan to bump into their own ships. Looking at that, my decision making went something along the lines of this. If I assume that he's not going to crash into his own academies, then there are two places for his two rear TIE fighters to go, Gideon and Sane. They either turn in here, which seems unlikely because he knew that I was going to be coming in with this Fang. This Fang is probably going to be somewhere around there. He's going to block, so that's not a very safe move, which would imply he's either done a 2-bank with everyone, or he's gone fast and either K-turned or gone straight. So if I boost in here and he does a 2-bank with everyone, then I end up in front of the entire swarm. Now, focus tokens or not, with Harrow, that is going to hurt. Even if I block everyone, it's not the best position to be in. If I barrel roll down this way, then what happens is that if these guys turn up, I dodge them completely. Fantastic. If they've done a K-turn or gone fast, they all crash into the back of here and provide us easy food for these two Fangs here, and then Fen when he eventually comes in. So that's what I decided to do. I decided to do the barrel roll, thinking for a bit, and then he barrel rolls over there, which perfectly lands to block both straight moves of both ships. As it is, out comes the K-turn. You end up with Gideon stressed and in a bad position. He sensibly moves Iden first, so she gets a focus. Sane then crashes, and Harrowrunner crashes into ZR2. So I got lucky there. I caught the K-turn from both of them. I am going to get shot quite a lot with 2, but not. I'm at range 1 of the 2 with 2 of them with focus tokens, maybe even range 1 of Iden. So he's in a pretty good spot, and he's got full health. It's worth it to block everything up. So, moving on, Fen fits very nicely and takes a focus and gets ready to delete something. He sees the fact that Gideon is at range 1 without a focus. The focus is on the AP, so he decides, you know what, here goes nothing. Swarm Tactics onto Wampa. I can't avoid that this turn because Fen can't shoot him, so Wampa is going to be shooting with 4 dice at ZR2. And Fen decides to get angry. 5 dice, 5 hits, spend the focus. Normally I wouldn't spend the focus in that position, but with a focus list high, 3 health and no Iden, yeah, you've got a good chance of killing it. Turns out Fen one-shots Gideon. Really big deal. That takes a lot of damage off the board. Then Wampa gets payback and puts a hit and a crit into Blue, which stings. Not as much as the dead TIE fighter, but disabled power regulator as well. Ion for Blue. Very, very nasty. Blue goes down to 1 hull and dodges all the things. So, sorry, I went fast there. I rolled into the hit crit. I got 2 evades and then used the Concord Dawn to set it into another evade. The damage was from Sane just putting an automatic crit into Blue because she has marksmanship. Pinky then gets super, super angry and just deletes Sane. Blue has a go, also gets super, super angry, does another few damage. Red then finishes off the academy. And yeah, at that point, Bruno decides to call it, which I think is fair enough. I mean, I caught him well, but also I shouldn't have done that much damage in that turn. Although, I don't know, so I would have expected to kill two TIE fighters that gauge. I had all of my Fangs at range 1, 3 of them had focus tokens, and there was a few TIEs without focus. I would have expected to kill 2. Killing the 3 tipped it over the edge and meant that Bruno pretty much had 0 chance of coming back in that game, even with a 1 health Iron Fang. There's not much you can do there. Harrowrunner just has to run away. Wampa just, yeah, is just going to get munched next turn. Iden's going to get munched next turn. It's a shame because it was a really, really good game, and I want to give serious kudos to Bruno's flying there. He flew really, really carefully and didn't get suckered into any of the traps. He dealt really well with the fact that all of the fangs were coming at him at a different angle, and all he did was he just slowly waited very patiently for the engagement. A really good lesson for any Swarm players out there is not committing too hard to that engagement. The disadvantage that he had is that when he did the hard one with all of his ties, he was then stuck in a situation where he had to decide which direction to go, and because I managed to split him up fairly well, there wasn't really a good decision. I think his best move would have been to 4K everything. I know it sounds weird, but yeah, it would have meant that things would have crashed into the back of him, and he would have been able to get good shots into the two guys coming around the back on that turn. He would have got everything at range 2 and probably killed a Fang, because Howrunner is not nice to Fangs at range 2. Anyway, that's that game. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you very much to Bruno for playing. I'll see if I can give you some more of these later, as this is I'm now going to the top 8 cut of the Scott Bryant's Vassal League, so he's got some shiny prizes on. You guys should definitely check out Scott's leagues if you play on Vassal. He does a really good job of getting some shiny prizes, and I think this one was a £10 entry, so he's even got a trophy. So there we go. Thank you guys, hope you enjoyed it, and catch you soon for some more tactical talk and replays, and yeah, hopefully I'll get some streaming live soon. See ya.